1, Darrell Jeter.
Here.
District 2, Michelle Glover.
Here.
District 3, Eddie Skeen.
Here.
District 4, Michael Brickey.
Here.
District 5, Danny Castile. District 6, Chris Manis.
Here.
At large, Stephanie Addington. Here.
I hope you've all had a chance to look over the agenda. I finally could pull it up yesterday morning and got to it.
I got to it last night.
Last night, yeah. So are there any changes to the agenda? Additions, deletions?
I do have one addition, Mr. Chairman. The state of the county with their disaster situation.
Okay. We'll add the state of county to the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Manis made the motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Glover second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and we did have a chance, I hope, to look at the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve minutes?
I'll make that motion.
We have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. One second. We will enter into the citizen expression period, and there's a few rules here I need to read before we start that. Citizen expression period is appointed in a meeting when anyone who wishes to address the board may do so. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium and state your name, where you're from in the county, and or what organization you represent. The board may or may not respond to anything you say, but we will take everything you say into account when making future decisions. Please keep your comments concise and businesslike. If no one signed up to speak, we have no particular order. We ask that you take turns and speak your business. Any action will be considered after we close citizen expression. Anyone signed up?
Mr. Terry Cox.
Okay, Mr. Cox. He's probably not made it over Powell Mountain yet. So when he comes in, we'll give him a chance to speak. Anyone else?
That's the only one that's on.
Okay. Anyone here wish to speak? Okay.
Good morning. I'm Shirley Taylor, and I'm from Snowflake Road, and I'm the spokesperson for Peg Tice. She couldn't make it this morning, so I'm just here to let y'all know that, of course, the road is messy, beginning to end, as all the dirt roads are, I'm sure. But anyway, we are able to get through. But anyway, we are a blessed people, and I just wanted to make sure that we stay on the 6-year plan. And thank you all.
Okay.
And everybody have a blessed day.
Thank you very much. We miss Peggy. That's the first one she's missed in a long time.
Yeah, she hated this.
Yeah. Mr. Baker.
Good morning, fellas, ladies. Glad you all made it out. We sure had a time here in the last few days, but first off, I had a citizen to call me from Jeter's area. Grover Cleveland Road down there, she was worried about it, and while they out here, they might want to go and check it out. She said it was in terrible shape and needed paving. I don't know what all, paving busted up on it, but she wanted to bring it to your attention. Now, I wanted to do a correction here last month. I said something about, didn't know where in the world all the tax money went to in the state of Virginia. Well, I fooled around and didn't look it up till this morning. on account of this, never thought I'd have electricity office alone. Anyway, I reckon VDOT gets all their money from just the gas taxes. And I don't know how much, I guess these guys can answer, I don't know how much of the gas tax that they get, but they just get a very few of this other stuff, like they just get 5% of the state sales and use tax, 3% of the sale and use tax for transportation, 4.15% for motor vehicle sales and use tax. Anyway, they've got about an $8 billion budget, the way I understand it. And we'd sure like to see them put all these departments back where they had it in Nicholsville and Gate City and shift a little bit more money down here. If they ain't getting all of that gas tax, for goodness sakes, let's try to get it first. And I know Governor Lee has changed a lot of stuff in Tennessee, and them guys getting all kinds of money, the way I understand, because they're paving everybody. But anyway, just wanted to bring it up about that. I wanted to correct myself. I didn't know where all that money was going. But anyway, on the land use, I just wanted to remind you all about that again. We'd still like to see it happen for the farmers. And I know you all heard all this stuff about, I'm going to bring this up about Springfield, Ohio and Aurora, Colorado. I don't worry about the MS-13 or that Venezuela gang, because our sheriff and deputies will take care of that bunch. But what are you all got planned if they send a bunch of illegals in here or whatever? Where are you gonna put them at? Have y'all got some kind of strategy for all this stuff? So, talking about hotels and stuff, the boys from Oklahoma that fixed our fire, they'll drive all the way to Knoxville and get a motel room. They were laughing about it, said they sure hoped that the illegals didn't have the motels filled up. So thank you all. Have a good day.
Anyone else?
I'm appearing over here on account of last year, they raised my taxes.
Would you tell us your name, sir, and where you're from, please?
William Roger Dockery, I'm from Dungannon, sorry about that. They raised these taxes on a piece of property that I have, and it's nothing but a rock bar cliff straight up. And the reason I didn't go before the equalization board is I discussed it with Mr. Jetter previously out in the hallway. I was in the hospital. I had to have stomach surgery. My intestines busted on me, and they had to do emergency surgery to save me. They took out 18 inches of my small intestines. And when I got out, my stomach herniated. And plus I have diabetes. I also, when I got out, I couldn't get an appointment for the equalization board because it's too late. I discussed this issue with Mr. Danny Mann, a friend of mine. Him and I went to school together, and I talked to him about it, and he agreed with me. Taxes on mountain property like mine shouldn't be more than $800 an acre, in which I was paying that. But if you look at this tax receipt here, where they reassessed it, they raised it a lot higher. And that's not fair, and it's not right. And I would have been over here before. I was gonna come over here about 2 or 3 months ago, but I couldn't. I wound up in the hospital. And if you know anything about stomach surgery, you can have what they call bowel blockages and stuff like that. And I had that. I had to be in the hospital. And plus, during that time, you guys knew what was going on over here. There was people up there raising Cain, cussing, going on about some tax going up or whatever. And I didn't want to be over here during that time. And I felt it's right to wait and come now. But Danny Mann, I discussed it with him. He agreed with me. And the reason I didn't go before the equalization board, I just told you. People's got land around me over there where I'm talking about, their taxes wouldn't even touch. And if they went, the equalization, or not the equalization board, but the assessment people would have went to this property. They ain't no way they could have went to it, because if they did, they had to walk. Because you can only go so far up the holler and the road stops. And to see this property, you'd have to get out and walk up there. And like I said, I discussed it with my neighbors over there. Their property taxes wouldn't increase, nobody's but mine. Jim Baker owns property over there. And I talked to Danny Mann about this. He said, the only thing I can tell you to do, you can file, you know, I could have filed a petition, went and got a lawyer, but what's the use in doing that? I live on fixed income. I can't afford a lot of this.
Have you talked to the Commissioner of Revenue about this?
I did. I mentioned it to him. I talked to him on the phone. And there was some boy that worked out there, young boy. He said, the only thing you can do, but he no longer works there neither. He said, the only thing you can do is file a petition, bring it before the board, or whatever. And I didn't do it because, like I said, I've been in and out of the hospital. I got diabetes. I'm broke down my back, my hips. And Danny told me, he said, I advise you to go before the board. Put it before the board, let the board decide. And that's way too much. If you want to see the receipt right here, it is.
That's fine. I don't know that we could do anything today, but I'm sure all these board members will take this into consideration.
You'll see.
And
I was paying $800 an acre on 48 acres because at 384 was equals out to the $800 an acre, and you see what they raised it to, $400 more on the acre. I mean, I could see that if I had 48 acres of river bottom property, flat property, but mountain property, straight up cliff, that's wrong.
I agree with you, equalization would have probably done something if you could been there. But I understand why you couldn't. I've been there myself. I know where you're coming from. But unless Frida or Sally or Bill have got a recommendation, I would just say wait till we can talk to the Commissioner of Revenue.
Let me walk him down there now to
Okay,
talk to her,
that'd be good.
Do what?
if he's okay with that.
Our county attorney will walk you down to Commissioner of Revenue and let you talk to them right now, okay?
That'd be fine.
All right.
I appreciate your time, and I know you all awful busy. And, you know, thank God that things ain't worse than what it is.
Yes, sir.
Because this hurricane hit us all, it pushed in here. I don't know how you feel about the Bible, I don't know about your religion, but I can tell you how I feel. God's telling us something. It's about time for people in this country to wake up. That's what's wrong with our country now. We've turned away from God, we've turned away from being individual people to help anybody. Years ago, when I grew up, anybody need help, there was someone there.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Jeter, thank the board.
Thank you.
And I know you all are doing what you can do, but I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for citizens expression? Oh, I'm sorry. See you coming behind Bill there. Go ahead.
Good. I'm Patty Pratt. I'm in the Maid-Stanleyton area. And I feel I shouldn't even be complaining with all the devastation around us. But mine is the new internet system, the phone. The phone only holds, I have been told, an 8 to 10 hour charge. And that's not going to get it over a 4-day outage. I'm a widow, I live by myself, and my phone went out Sunday night about 8 o'clock. And it's kind of frightening when you're by yourself and you can't get a hold of anybody. I don't really know that there's anything you can do about it, or will do about it, but I just want to bring it to your attention.
Okay.
And there's a lot of us in the county like this, I'm sure, in my position.
Okay. we've got a letter in front of us that we're going to talk about after a while. And Lena Wisco is looking to increase, and help me with gigabytes, is that the correct term?
Yeah, that's for wireless though. She's talking about just regular.
Just
phone.
regular phone?
This is my home phone. Cell phone will not reach where we are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe this will help the cell phone situation, I hope so.
Well, hope for us, and I guess,
Well, I don't know, I can talk to Matt Hill and just let him be
well,
aware.
I have a call into him, but he
Yeah.
hasn't returned it.
I know he's busy.
And I know that too, and I've got several calls in. I did call Mr. Castile, and he responded to my call, which I appreciate.
We can do only probably what you're doing. We can talk to Matt. I know most of those boys that work down there, and when I run into them, I've got one that lives close to me. I'll mention it to them. But a lot of people have been in that shape. Frida and I were just talking, we couldn't get in touch with each other for a while. So.
And I know, we don't really have power outages like this that bad, but,
Right.
you know, AEP, we do. We had a hiccup last night about 11 o'clock in it too, so
So you're AEP and not Powell Valley?
unfortunately, yes.
They don't get
Yeah,
it too.
the creek in Duffield's the dividing line for.
Okay,
Powell
yeah.
County.
I wish we'd had a choice in that, but you know how that goes.
I did. Ma'am, you want to say something?
Thank you.
Yeah, we're neighbors.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I just want to back up what she said. Like I say, I was talking to Bill, and he wasn't even aware that we had that limit on our phones now, because before, if the power went out, our landline stayed put as long as the phone line stayed up. But, you know, and like she said, we're out, we have no cell service, and we were very fortunate that we had no emergencies.
Yeah.
Because that could have been a life and death situation, and it would have been a death situation.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, it's the whole area, you know, out that way, elderly people. You know, if you've got a generator, that's all well and good, because it'll power your battery. If you don't have a generator, you know, you're stuck,
Right.
you know. But, like everybody said, we're blessed, you know, thankful for the crews that have been out. There are roads, at least we have one area that's one lane, but at least it's passable. And we know people in the community was also out having to clear the road for us, which has helped too, you know. But anyway,
All right, appreciate
Like I say,
you all.
you know, like I say.
And I'll personally talk to Matt when I get a
he wasn't
chance.
even aware of it, you know, that, you know, 8 to 10 hours is what they're telling us.
Yeah.
And 4 days, it just didn't cut it.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Mike, I know some people that's got the old phones that we used to have, and they're still working. They don't require power for them to work. Because I called somebody yesterday and they had, everything was out at their house, but their old phone, I guess it's the old rotary
I was gonna say it's a rotary phone. That's what we-
phones, they still work. If
My
you
my
can-
phone didn't, my home phone didn't work. And
Thank
Frida
you.
and I talked, we talked early Friday afternoon and declared a state of emergency, just the two of us. And the way I understand it, I'm not talking to her, she couldn't get in touch with Richmond to tell him that we were in a state of emergency until later. So it's widespread. It's unbelievable what happens. It is.
I think the old phones will still work
Yeah.
They
without
want it, my
power.
mom and dad's. They have the phone still on the wall, mounted, hard wired in, and hers is like those in Duffield, just 8 to 10 hours, and then it dies, and you don't have or you don't have your home phone anymore either.
I don't know, well, the one I called yesterday worked, I don't know how.
We don't have the answer to that, but we'll check into it too, because we're all in the same boat. Hey,
Good morning, Scott Gerald, Agricultural Extension Agent with Virginia Cooperative Extension. Just wanted to take a moment to introduce our new FCS agent, Brandy Petty. The one that we had, Andrea Hopper, has moved into positions as an area food safety specialist. But I just wanted to give you some bright news that we do have a new employee who will be serving the family consumer science needs.
I'm very glad to be here and to meet all of you. I'm a Lee County native, so I'm splitting my time between Lee and Scott counties, and I'm excited to be a part of the area still. I have previously worked with MEOC and some with MECC, so I've got a rich background that I bring, and I'm just very thankful to get to be here and be a part of VCE.
Thank you.
Scott, before you go, Mr. Skeen brought up something about the situation in Scott County. You're one of 2 people that are looking at damages.
Yes, that is correct.
Could you say something about that right
He's
now?
on the
I did
agenda.
have
You're
a
on the agenda?
presentation for
Okay,
you.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at this agenda that much. Anyone else for public expression? Okay. We'll go out of public expression. And Mr. Baker, I just want to tell you that we've got 3 people going to a meeting. Is that this month or next month?
It's next month.
Next month, and VACO, Virginia Association of Counties, will be there. Dean Lynch will be there. There's all kinds of breakout sessions, including VDOT, just about everybody that they will talk to. And then in January, I don't know the date yet, but in January we'll send another contingent of supervisors to Richmond. And we've already made a list of 8 to 10 things that they're going to bring up there to the same people that we have for 4 or 5 years now. I can't promise anything will come out of those, but they're going to talk to the right people. So,
Thank you, Mike.
you know, that's about all we can do right now.
They'll hear about it at the very least. Again and again.
He brought up also while you're on to that, the illegal immigrants situation. Do we have anything in place, or has any thought been given to that, or is it an issue?
I've not heard it mentioned for the last 4
You
years.
thought about what we should do?
No, I hadn't thought about it until he brought it up, so I didn't know if anything is in place now or any discussion has been on the previous board.
No, I've not heard anything at all.
I'm sorry to cause you any problems. I just thought about that, coming down here.
I don't know where they would stay in Scott County if they came, Gary. And I'd say the hotels that these linemen were talking about that they couldn't get in Kingsport, we've been going over to Kingsport to eat. We go over there and we was in Pizza Hut, and there was 1 or 2 in there, Scott County, that were in hotels. So it may be Lee, Scott, Russell that are in Kingsport. You could go over the hill, Kyle Hill, and you could see lights, and this way it was dark. I can't explain.
The
electrical.
hotels were all booked because whenever the trees fell on my daughter's house, the insurance agent could not put them into a hotel. It would be hundreds of miles away from here just to put them into a hotel. So luckily they're staying with me. So.
You know, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina probably headed up this way too. They didn't get away from it, but that probably added to it. So,
Yeah, I heard folks in Asheville yesterday couldn't find a hotel all the way to Winston-Salem.
Mhm.
So it's about 2 hours from them. So
yeah, we're lucky that we didn't have it.
I'm sorry again. The only reason I thought about that, I was talking to Charlie coming down here. My wife had done a bus, one of those bus tours, her and her sister, to up in Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Well, when they got up there, the motels, the one that they was staying at was a, first class motel. It was plumb full of illegals. Well, she called me back, fired up, mad, They had to stay in a smaller motel, and the bus company had a hard time trying to. That's the only reason I brought that up.
I
just
understand.
wondered, if you all had some kind of an emergency plan, that's the only reason.
No, we don't.
Well, if you start squatting on your land, you got any repercussions there if you take some action?
you can call the sheriff. I'm sure he'll come out.
Think so?
Yeah.
We don't see them back our way too much, so I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll end citizen expression and go on into unfinished business. The legislative priorities letter, Rita.
I just included the letter that was sent to Governor Youngkin, where you would see what was included in that letter, and it was also sent to Delegate Kilgore and Senator Pillion.
Okay, Let me back up just a second. Is Mr. Cox here yet? Okay, he was signed up to speak, okay.
Mr. Chairman, one comment I'd like to make on what Ms. Starnes just said. I have to compliment you on a very good letter that you sent, and the fact that you followed up with Delegate Kilgore and Senator Pilgrim. Is it possible to get those two people to attend one of our meetings to address some of these issues before the first of the year?
I can ask. I have a meeting scheduled with Delegate Kilgore this week, so I will ask him if that's something that they could do.
Okay. Be part of unfinished business is special use permit for Lucy Road. Is there anyone here to speak on that?
This was on your agenda in June. This just needs to be cleaned up. I spoke to Mr. Gilmer, and we've not heard from Miss Jennings in the last couple of months. So this is just kind of hanging out there as postponed, and we just need to get that finished up.
You all didn't make a decision. You need to either approve it or deny it.
Well, I've had some calls, and Michelle, I want you to speak to this in a minute too, from Hilton's area, and I've been told that over 200 signatures
Yes.
are on record for not to approve that. You've got that?
Yeah, and that was when there was a misunderstanding about what it was going to be. But, you know, since then, I think there have been issues about entrance, VDOT entrance for retail sales and possibly health department issues. But she's not followed up in the last few months, so I think you all need to make a decision, and then, you know, if she wants to go forward with it, we can go from there. But it needs to be decided.
I think it needs to be rescinded. What's the word we use?
You just would approve it or deny it.
Okay. I think we need to make a decision today on that. Do we have a...
I got a call last night on that also. The call I got, they said that she had not done anything
That's what I heard.
as far as what she was supposed to have done.
Right.
So,
I was down through there Saturday morning, checking all the roads and all. She hadn't done anything because I went through there at 5 o'clock Saturday morning, checking the roads and stuff. And I also got a call last night about it too. And most of the people that I've talked to up and down through there, they're not for it at all. I've not heard anybody say that they was for it.
Any more discussion, or do we have a motion to...
I make a motion to deny it.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Glover, second by Ms. Addington. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The motion passes. Okay. We'll go on to new business. VDOT, Mr. Alan Sumter and his friends.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you all. So I'm going to do something a little different this morning. I'm giving Bill some slide information, and so I'm just wanting to go over a little bit to start with a report for you on the storm that came through and what we've been dealing with there with that. So the storm, as everyone knows, moved in on Thursday night and rain through Friday. We've had reports anywhere 5 to 8 inches of rain in places. The rain came down at a rate that it was like a steady rain, and so surprisingly we did not see a huge amount of flooded roadways. And of course we got trees all over. In our Wise residency in the 4 counties we serve, we've got an estimate of around 1,400 to 1,500 trees that are down in our 4 counties that we are that we've been dealing with. We've had crews that are out working and have been. We've been on extended shifts, on overtime shifts during the weekends. We have deployed all the contract resources that we have had available to us out on the road. Our hired equipment contractor, our tree contractors. We also have had supplement tree contractors come in, part of what we call the roadside group from Bristol. They're our division over there that in normal situations that, like if we get a report that somebody's got a tree that they're concerned about and that needs to be cut down, then we report that to the roadside. They come out and assess it, and there are environmental things that have to be checked, whether the tree is a live tree and so forth like that, and so they take care of that. But they've helped us out with crews as well. We've also had a 13-man crew that was sent to us from the Richmond district. We call those HERT, H-E-R-T. That's always big on acronyms, but we call those HERT. That stands for like Hurricane Emergency Response Team. And so they sent us a crew there. We are anticipating them to be here for the remainder of this week. And obviously they're away from home. They come prepared to stay for so many days, and then we have discussions about whether or not they'll send another crew or what. That's at a level that's at the district level, working and coordinating through the district office or of those other districts and through our central office. So we have been trying our best to try to get roads passable, and at one point during the storm we had in Scott County 53 roads were closed during the storm, primarily due to tree debris, and as of this morning we're down to 4 roads that we would consider to be closed. In the High Knob area, it's like they received either a strong straight line wind or possibly a hurricane, which kind of a tornado, sorry. I think we tend to believe it's more straight line because pictures that we've seen, the trees are all just over like in one direction instead of like stirred up in a pot, so to speak. And so we've had a lot of trees up there, and so we've been working that from both ends, from the Scott County end and also from the Wise County end, trying to get up there and on that. And we anticipate that 619, the High Knob Road, will be open today. We also, I thought some of my folks said something to me. 614 River Road remains closed, and it's because it's entangled in utility lines, and that we're waiting on. And of course, we know the utility crews, they have been had all they can handle as well. And we've also, on 706 on Osborne Ridge, there's been trees in the lines up there as well. So I'm going to go on through now and show some of these things. We've got some pictures just to give you a little representation of what we've had to deal with. Now, just to give you an indication to kind of show you kind of the path of what the damages are. Bill, you said this one, the corner highlight up there, it won't go. This corner won't highlight.
No, the laser pointer won't show. Yeah, won't show.
Okay, so I'll step over here. So
here you go, Alan. You can use the mouse.
Well, it's okay. I can do it right here. So this area, these are areas that we use a couple of different designations. These are like debris that's in here, the little small trees. It's actually all about the same. It's a kind of, what we have is our folks out on the road have a mobile app, and what we do in order, we're looking at a federal declaration to try to get reimbursement for these, is that they take their phone and they're able to take a picture of the damages as they are out there on the road, and then take another picture in order to have once they've got it open. And pictures are a tremendous part of the FEMA process of getting the declarations. So we've had a total of like 681 windshield assessments that have been made so far. We've got like 336 that shows that we've got still a lot of debris area to pick up. Again, that's just what's in our system that we've got pictures of so far. Okay, now it says on there roadway structural damage. That can be minor, or that can be we're capturing everything. If there is like a rut in the roadway or something like that, we're capturing that at this point. Culvert damage, that could be like a stopped up pipe even. At this point, we are trying to assess everything that's out there that that might be of an issue that's a result of the storm that's there. Now, there are some things that we're going through with discussions that there's certain thresholds on whether FEMA will pay for it, like a $5,000 per site and things like that. And so we're trying to get all that together. Our folks, these two gentlemen with me here, they have been working continuously with our folks to ensure that we're getting the documentation, and we're having already to upload that information into a district server so that it can be looked at and evaluated as we go on. So the problem that we have is that you know, we have an extended period of cleanup that we're going to have, but we are also going to have an extended period of documentation that's going to go on. The FEMA inspectors will come in, and that's like undergoing an audit as they question everything and want proof. We will have to be doing load counts of the debris that's picked up, how much debris it is, what we're doing with it, and all that kind of thing. So another thing that's going to happen is that our primary intent at this time is that we are working on have been getting the roads passable. And I know some folks are not satisfied probably with that, as they're having to veer over and that kind of things like that. But if you realize what we've been talking about with this kind of damage, our intent has been just to try to get a pass, so to speak, for folks to get through. We now are transitioning over into the part of working to try to go back and get more of the debris out of the roadway and do what we can to get them cleaned up. But there may be periods of time that we will see that you know, our crew come out and we're still sticking out in the road some, that they do some more cutting to get it on back, but it's like, well, they didn't take it all, clean it up. Well, there's still going to be another step. We're just trying to take it in phases as we can go. So that's kind of how that works. We also, our district is working with a contractor and discussing getting them into the area that their primary job is that they go in and do cleanup in storms like this nationwide. They might work in, you know, Florida, they might work whatever. They bring huge grapple trucks in and everything like that. So the other thing that I will point out too is that you know, we all have this tendency, like even at my home, my home was without power, luckily for only a few hours on Friday. But you know, that was my home. That's what I was, you know, in the back of my mind. Are we going to have power? Are we going to? Is our food going to go bad? What is going to be? And everyone has that concern, but we have widespread things through our Bristol district that if folks have seen, like on the news, that like Damascus received severe damage in there. So the district, with these resources that are such as this, are working to prioritize where that the greatest needs are, and then we'll take. So I guess what I'm trying to summarize at this point is that it's not going to be like an overnight process of us getting everything cleaned up and out of the road. So, and you know, back to total restoration process. But we're working on it. Just ask, you know, that we just, you know, please understand those things as we go. We're not perfect. I'm sure that we're going to miss some things. We're going to make some mistakes in the process, but when we find out about them, then we will work to try to correct them as quickly as we can. This is a slide district-wide. This shows for the entire Bristol district, kind of what we've got assessed all the way through right now from the damages that's in. Same thing that we've got. So that's a perspective of the information. That shows you where, again, that trees and everything are coming in and where they're down, and that we've recorded them that need to be addressed and worked on getting them passable. I just brought you a few photos, going to run through kind of quickly here. This is what we had. Some of this opened back up again to the past, more work to be done. This is on Quartertown Road. This is the ladies that are on maybe Stanleytown Road. You probably are seeing this. This is an example of, from that roadway. Now these are off those, we've pulled and downloaded those off of that quick capture system that we call all those assessments. That's what our guys are taking pictures of when they're out on the road. Okay. Are you still taking pictures of me?
Okay, now.
If I'd known that, I would have powdered my head.
Don't worry about it. We can fix that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Miss Titus isn't here, but I thought I'd bring a picture of Snowflake this morning for her.
That picture was after it's cleaned up.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
Yeah, and that's what I'm showing. That's kind of what still that we've got remaining to still go back and work on as we go. This is up on Osborne Ridge. You can see that there's you know, still work to be done up in there. And this is an example of High Knob. As you can see, that area was really covered up with trees all across the road everywhere. So as I said, we've been working that from both ends. We have gotten assistance from over in Wise County with some of their tree and or litter pickup crews that have been over there, and they've helped us. And then we've been helping with them by using an excavator to use a knuckle boom to pick up and move out of the way. So we're hoping we get High Knob coming from both ways. It's there. Okay, there's another picture of like what High Knob has looked like. And so you can imagine all that tangled all together with that, and then have to cut every bit of that out of the road. And so there's no way we can get that, you know, cleaned up, carried away at the same time. Okay, I just wanted to show you an example or two of, this is actually up on High Knob as well, where the rain did cause some damage to gravel road. Kind of give you an example or two of that. See the road, the water come across and has broke off the edge of the road. So those are types of repairs that we'll have to make too. So we're working on trying to get the trees, get the road passable, and then we're going to go back and look at, you know, doing what we, assessing and what we need to do in order to make the repairs to the gravel roads or any roads like that. We're probably looking, with that, having to use some riprap, build that back up, put some stone and things back in there behind that in order to do that. So those types of things will be scheduled as we go. You can see that I'm sure that there's other roads that are out there, and that's why I meant, for example, that there's a washout coming down the middle of the road, just the amount of rain that, again, if this rain had occurred, like in some places, in an hour or two, then the whole road would probably have been gone. But this, luckily, even though that's not desirable, this is an example of, kind of the things that we will be dealing with. So again, we will be working with, establishing or keeping track of our estimates and our costs of that, and depending upon how much it is, it may get considered, and the FEMA people will be looking, at that to see whether it qualifies or not. If it doesn't, then it will have to come back against like our regular budget that we have. Okay, so that kind of concludes what I wanted to show and go over with you there about what the storm damage is. Has anybody got any questions or anything there with that? We are getting work orders. People are calling in, like I said, that people are saying there's still a tree out here. When are you going to come get the tree cleaned up? And Eddie, you're probably going to get calls from folks that are going to be like, okay,
I know you've got your plate
okay,
full, so you're not going to hear from me much.
Okay, so we are, the thing with that is that if you talk with folks, or any of you talk with folks, then you tell them our priority has been to get the roads open and at least passable. We realize that there are narrow spots and things that's in there. We're working through the process of going through to do the permanent cleanups, and that we are using additional resources that we have available and come from the district and through contracts in order to try to supplement that effort with our folks. Okay, so I actually did, since we had here, if Bill can pull up, I actually just loaded the regular report up. It kind of seems in a way not as important, but I will, at this time as we're dealing with this, but I'll run through that as well. So I gave you all a copy of it. On the secondary mowing, we were, before the storm came, about 80% complete. Obviously, the people that have been doing the mowing are out cutting trees, so that's going to cause some delay there with that. We have areas going forward on the secondaries that I can mention, excuse me, that our goal is to mow twice on the secondary roads. And then after that, as like Ms. Glover and I were out looking at some issues the other day, is that there was the road on Carter's Valley that you've got Johnson grass that still, we've mowed twice, and Johnson grass is already back up that tall. So not every road is like that, but if we can get caught up with these other things, then we will try to go back at some point and try to cut some of that down in some of those areas that it may be at this point frost may be on there, and who knows if it's still a problem, maybe snow flying and we cut in grass on the roadways. But for safety areas, we will try to work on trying to address those. We actually were still working on cleaning up some trees that had been in some other little storms at the time, the time the storm came. So we'll probably still be working on that. And like some of the things that we looked at, they'll still be on there. Nobody will be forgotten on there. It's just a matter of just the priority is there. So Bill, if you can, I guess, go down here, are things that you had mentioned to us either in calls or at the previous board meetings that we've been working on, trying to complete. There are some circumstances where that, like on big springs, try to clean pot, replace if cannot be cleaned. Those are the types of things are being looked at, like for environmental type of reviews, whether or not we need any kind of permits and things like that. We were able to get had the tree crew doing some work on Lucy Road. We came up with a way to be able to do that. And then over on East Carter's Valley, we talked with traffic engineering. The flashing lights, like we anticipated, was probably not there, but we put what we call an oversized stop sign that's there to make it more visible. Our rural rustics, if you'll scroll on down just a little bit, Bill, that's the list of them. We pretty well completed of the ones that we had that we've been working on and paving through the spring and everything. We have Horton Summit and Eaton Hill Road that are there that we are running through the environmental review process, and we will get those started during our budget year, which probably most likely this time I would anticipate they probably won't get started until the spring on those roadways.
So Horton Summit won't be started until the spring?
That's what I'm anticipating, yes.
It was on the schedule for this year. What was that?
That's it. And the one thing I want to remind there, it's because of the resources now that we have. We were going to start those this fall. If we can get the tree cleanup and everything done to a point, then we will try to get it started once we get there.
What's the cutoff for y'all on projects like that?
Well, one of the things of what we do there, like when we say that they're started this year, one of the things that's there is they are in our budget year. That's another thing. So we're in budget year 25. So our budget year goes all the way through June. So typically these things go about 2 budget years that we end up getting them. So if I was guessing right now, you could probably expect to see that one completed and paved by about this time next year. Okay.
Okay. I have a lot of people calling and asking about that one.
Yeah, I understand. And we will continue to work on trying to keep it maintained. Just realize the resources that we're using to go out and try to build that road, we are now using on the trees. And so if we get some kind of a relief or whatever on there, then we will work to get them started. The other thing that I'm also careful of, Mr. Magnus, is getting something started and then making it muddy through the winter and then making a bigger mess to maintain through the winter. So really, I would feel comfortable that it's going to be done during calendar year 25 and it'll be fully completed during that period of time. Okay. Money's not going away or anything there. That the money's allocated, the board put it in the plan, it's reached that funding part, it will be built. Okay. Okay, so then the next one, that is just the thing there that just kind of goes that this is pre-storm. This is kind of the work order report that we've had. Kind of shows you kind of what we've been getting in as type of work orders and efforts to address those and take care of them. So you can look at that at your leisure there with that, unless you got any questions there. So that's kind of my report. Try not to. I always have this tendency, I feel like I come in here and break the record to presenters, so I was trying not to break that today. So has anybody got any questions or anything at this time?
I just have a comment. I want to say thank you so much for coming out on the 23rd. I had sent Mr. Sumter an email, and I wasn't anticipating him to be there. And I thought it would be Wade and the boys coming out. And when I pulled up and I walked up, and there Mr. Sumter was standing, I was like, I didn't mean for you to come out. But I want to say thank you so much for coming out. And this is on when Mr. Ketron stood up at the last meeting and was complaining about his road and everything over there. And we also took Mr. Kestner with us too. You know, I sent that email out, and the guys went over and we looked at, you know, all the complaints and the issues. The next day, I had a meeting with several people that live in Carter's Valley, and they were, had some more issues. I wish that I had known the day before that we could have gone and looked at those. But I touched base with Wade, and he added those issues and problems and everything that they were having to the list that, we had already had. But I want to say thank you so much for coming out and, going over there with us and looking at the problems and the issues and getting back to me on, the things that we're going to do about it. So I really, really, really do appreciate you all.
You're welcome.
And thank you for helping me understand a little bit more.
I did have a question on the 6-year plan. The 25 projects, Obies Creek and Midway, Turkey Lick, Fairview, Slade Creek and Hilton's. Do you foresee any delays in the calendar year 25 for those?
I don't, but the one thing that I will mention again, the way this process works is that on those 25 projects, the funding will become available July the 1st, 25. So we're not able to start doing any kind of charges of work or anything to those. So generally you can kind of anticipate those if we don't have problems like storms and things like this. What our goal is on projects is to try to get them constructed with the pipes and all the necessary grading work and everything done, say in the fall, and then let that lay and settle during the winter months, and then pave it in the spring like we did the ones that's there. So I'm hoping that we'll be back to regular schedule. And again, I apologize for what we have. We were getting ready to move along, and we still may be able to do some things, but we're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. But the bottom line is that you all put the money, voted and put them in the plan and things like that. So they're in there once they get moved along, and with the funding that's in there. There can always be something come up. There can be an economy crash or something like that, and they come back but the thing that we generally, when that has happened, we're to the point now, because we have a realistic plan, that there may be a little delay or whatever that's there, but they still are in the plan. We've not in many, many years now seen that we go and just take stuff back out of the plan. So I hope that kind of gives you a little understanding. I don't foresee anything at this point, but it would have to be something, I guess I'd say, abnormal before that there would be at this time. Okay. Anything else from anyone?
Thank you, Mr. Sumner, for all you do.
Well, I've got a good crew. That makes it better. These gentlemen here, they're part of it, and we've got a good staff there. We're not, as I said, we're not perfect, and there are things, we've got a lot of ground to cover and a lot of things, but I do feel like we've got folks that try to take care of and do their job best they can.
We do appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We get Mr. Scott Gerald back up, if you would.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Bill was getting the presentation pulled up, I would just like to say I appreciate all of our fire and rescue. From about 9 o'clock Friday morning, we were all out, all 7 departments and our rescue squads, making sure that we could get the lanes open while VDOT was getting mobilized and others. And for the next 48 hours, we were on the front lines. And it was kind of interesting, I think, as we went through the county, and I was able to see a lot of the things that have happened afterwards. You kind of get focused on what's happening in your district, but then as I've driven the past 2 days, we get to see kind of the devastation throughout the county. With that, agricultural damages aren't going to be significant. As one of my producers said, I can tell you what I've seen, but I can't even get to what I can't see right now. So these numbers will increase. I suspect by the time we add cleanup costs into it, we're going to be around $500,000 of agricultural losses. And then we'll go through those justifications. There is a survey that is up on our VCE Scott County Facebook page that has been shared, and individuals are filling those out. So I have reported and then windshield views also. On the hay and corn crops, we're estimating about $40,000 worth of losses. Fence is about 14.5 miles, roughly $100,000. Farm structures, and that includes barn losses, sheds, and things of that nature, around $156,000. There were some animals that were lost during this time frame also, about $6,600 worth of that. And then just as an estimate of what I have seen across the county, we're estimating around 57 acres of timber that is down. That is estimated at $1,000 per acre, so $57,000 in losses. So we're looking at $358,000, and that's just windshield and what has been turned in the past 2 days. As I have stated before, that does not include the cleanup cost. It does not include road repairs on those farms, or bridge replacements or repairs as is needed to access those areas. So those numbers will increase, unfortunately. To give you an idea of what some of the agricultural damages are in the county, that's about a 6,000 square foot barn. Half of that roof is completely gone. It's laying on the line fence between Mr. Skeen and Wendellberg. So, you know, that will have to be replaced, if not the whole barn replaced itself if it's totaled. If that's the case, the estimates we've got on that's going to triple for replacement value. Just right up the road, you'll see where the winds got under the corners of the tin, lifted that off the roof of the barn. Damages to the sides of the barn and those structures. And as you drive through, of course, it's not unknown that there are a tree or two that's down on the roads. But most of those are on farmland. They've come across on fences. And at some point in time, those will have to be cleaned, the fences repaired, which is a cost to that farmer. Throughout the fields, for that to be mowed for hay, it's going to have to be cleaned and removed. Structures that we might not think significant to us have been destroyed because of the winds. Our farmhouses and their yards have significant damages to them also. Some of the other buildings, outbuildings, service buildings with roofs off of them. This is not uncommon to drive through the county and see tin completely riddled on these barns. And as we know, the farmers are not rich people by any means. And these structures, unless some type of federal assistance or state assistance comes, they don't have the money to fix these. So they'll continue to deteriorate and continue to go down. And of course, our farmers need these for livestock and for hay storage. There's a barn that's completely destroyed over on the Little Duck area. More tin off of roofs, trees across roads. And again, I don't want to try to belabor by any means what has gone on, but if you go through Long Hollow in Nicholsville, then back up by Falls Creek and those areas, it's completely devastated. And it's not uncommon to see where gusts of wind have been that's taken the trees down and the tin with it also. So there is going to be significant cleanup costs that are involved. There's going to be things that cannot be replaced. Those are young apple trees that are on Falls Creek. All the apples are now on the ground, but it does not show you the heirloom pear tree that's now on the ground. That's a priceless tree. I can add a value to it, but it's priceless to that individual. And as we survey these damages, I think the big thing for us to keep in mind too is we're all stressed right now. It's all a time where we're trying to figure it all out. So as we look at our utility workers, as we look at VDOT, as we look at those who are in the utility line work, we need to make sure that we have the appreciation that we need towards them. And I know there's a big push to help other people in other areas, but we have people in our own communities that are hurting and can use that same support. So don't forget your neighbor and trying to help them out also. Again, not trying to belabor the point, but to show some of these pictures of down trees in power lines, farms that have been damaged. This shows a strip of straight line wind that's removed the tops of the trees in a gap in Fort Blackmore heading towards Midway. And again, all of this is going to have to be cleaned up at some point in time to restore our farmers' hay fields. One of the questions that I did have brought to me was the need for a shower unit for individuals in the county that did not have access to electricity or hot water. The pastor side of it reached out to our association, and there is a 4-bay shower unit that is at Nicholsville Fire Hall right now that's available and open for anyone to use. Our anticipation is to move it throughout the county as needed. So as those needs arise, if you could let us know, we'll make sure that those get moved. And there's a picture of that trailer with the enclosed shower units in it. I do want to leave us with this, while it does look ominous at times. That is our state black pine tree. That is a state record holder that was beside the pear tree that was destroyed. It still stands strong, just like the residents of our community, just like everything else. A new day will come, and we will persevere.
What was that tree?
It's a black pine. Black pine, over 100 years old, about 120 years. Are there any questions?
You work in emergency services. Do you see a need? Do we have shelters now in the county?
So shelters are normally opened once an emergency is declared. That is one of the functions of the emergency services coordinator, and in coordination with the county and the EOC, and those were opened here since they had power. It was initially at Gate City High School. There are places throughout the county that are designated as shelters should something be needed.
Could we get our schools that have gymnasiums designated as shelters?
And those are on the list. There is a memorandum of understanding with our school system. Gate City High School was the designated point, but they had lost power, so it was transferred here.
Well, is there a need for portable generators?
There is definite need for portable generators, both to operate the fire stations and the rescue squads, and also within the communities. Speaking to the point of the phone systems, each one of those substations that they have is battery operated. If those batteries have to be charged, they have to take a generator from station to station. So that is something that is needed and can be used in the communities also. Of course, our radio communication centers, we do have backup generators on those tower sites, so they did function properly.
The state of emergency was called Friday afternoon.
Yes.
And now the governor's aware of that, and he's on to FEMA.
Yes.
Correct?
That is correct.
That'll take quite a bit of time.
Correct. And I will just go on the record, most of the time when we have damages like this, the federal assistance that is offered to farmers is in the form of low interest loans. Those are of little value. So as you discuss with your policymakers, make sure that they are aware that low interest loans are not what is needed. There is a significant financial loss that these farmers need to be recuperated from.
Appreciate the work you and David have done.
Thank you.
Any comments? Gerald? Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the letter of support for Lena Wisco for the Verizon Wireless 5G initiative application. And you all have seen that letter. Any discussion or comments?
Looks like a good thing.
Yep. Do we need a motion to ratify this letter?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion to ratify the letter?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Mr. Manus made the motion to ratify. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Yes. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And like I said, Frida and I talked probably Friday morning sometime. May have been Friday afternoon, I'm not sure now. But we went ahead and declared a state of emergency for Scott County. And now we need to confirm that to the full board. So, do we have a motion to confirm declaration of emergency?
So moved, yes.
Darrell, Mr. Jeter made a motion, and Mr. Castile second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that passes. Okay, down to Ms. Kegley's report.
Do you want to go ahead and add in Mr. Skeen's addition to the agenda?
We can do that right now, yes, before Ms. Kegley.
We covered several of the things that I wanted to discuss. But the Nicholsville school had electricity a couple of days, after it first went off. But could we use that and maybe other schools in the communities as shelters?
I think you just said that they did.
It's on the list. They've always, back years ago, we've always used the schools for that.
Well, why wasn't it used this time?
Well, Gate City, he just said Gate City didn't have any electricity, so they moved it to here where they did. Just across the street, one will have it and one won't, so it was here, wasn't it?
But Nicholsville had electricity, and we still have communities in the area that don't have showers or electricity. Why aren't we using those schools?
You got any information you could add to that?
I'll add that no one used the shelter that was open.
Where is it?
It was here in this room because we were on a generator. We had the power, and the shelter was not utilized by anyone. Miss Mullins and Mr. Bricky took care of getting that shelter opened and stayed until Friday around 6, and then left a note on the front doors if somebody needed shelter to call 911, and they would come back and open it. We have the little trailer out front that has cots, all of our emergency needs in it. If people were needing shelter, that would have been set up for them even to spend overnight.
The Nicholsville school, how was the community notified that the Nicholsville school was available?
Nicholasville was not used during this emergency.
Is there somebody that declares that? You have to declare which schools are open.
We have to determine where we're going to do the shelter.
Because the showers are now in Nicholsville, so there must have been a need in Nicholsville. And I just wondered why the school wasn't used. They're still not being used. And it's probably not just.
Have you brought this up with the school?
I was gonna say, did
No,
you
I
ever
haven't.
talk to school? Because I would ask them first.
Yeah, I would say Mr. Ferguson would open that pretty
I think
quickly
he would.
if there's a need that you'd seen in the community.
Well, I wasn't aware it was a shelter designated, but who declares it? Like, what's the process?
The emergency services coordinator.
Mr. Bricky, he would have to say Nicholsville is now available,
Right.
so we need to call him.
If you think there's a need for a shelter in Nicholsville.
Well, Mr. Gerald, would you say there is a need?
There are areas all throughout that are in need, but I think I can't speak for Mr. Bricky, but I can say that Gate City was centralized, and I think that was the thinking is instead of opening multiple schools, open one and make it available for the full county.
Because you have to have the staff to be there. You just can't open an emergency shelter and nobody be there.
I just, this caught everybody off guard, but I think going forward, we need to be better prepared to offer more shelters, like Rycope, if there's a need over there.
I bet you ladies couldn't have got to Rycope High School, could you?
I'd like to understand just, what the
We're
staff.
gonna leave it
Because that, I think that could end up being a mess.
As I say, we didn't know that things like that existed, and so how do you get the word out to let people know? Because we had no idea.
Really seemed like I was out Saturday morning early, and I rode all through Rycote, rode all the way to Duffield. The lights was on Duffield. It had plenty of power. A lot of the trees didn't get hit out there in Rycote like it did on towards the Midway area. It really took a blunt through there. I even rode through Gate City. All the lights was off except this office and the 911. Juice was all through Weber City till you got top of Kyle Hill. And when you got to Kyle Hill on Tennessee side, there's juice. You get 300 yards off through Gravely. No juice through there, Bloomingdale, till you got back to the city limits more or less in Kingsport. Went up Carter Valley, checked all of that, all the way to Timber Tree. Couldn't believe it. Wasn't no trees down. And then when I come back through Midway, then I started seeing the bad of it. I also left there and went to Winston-Salem. I was out with telephones. Cell phones wasn't working. Like these ladies told you that, the phone system didn't work. I'm in Winston-Salem, and sometimes you could get a little internet service. And that's when I seen Interstate 40 washed away. Interstate 26 was shut down, and I could not figure out why 81 had so much traffic. Then I figured it out. They couldn't get into the Carolinas, and they was going down 77. And even up the interstate, I would say half of the business didn't have power. You couldn't get guys. I couldn't get a Sheridan Winston-Salem that day. Couldn't get one in Mount Airy. And I finally found a truck stop in Glade Springs, or Ghost Cross, Virginia, and took a Sheridan. Luckily, that was the best investment I ever spent, because when I come back home, we did have juice, but now it was the people. We got lucky, and very lucky. We just missed it by a 50-mile margin. We could beat Irwin. We could even beat Asheville, because we've got two rivers here. But we do have to figure out something better than we've got. And we should look for high schools or something, or I'll say Nicholsville School, because us getting to maybe Twin Springs with the trees and stuff, that it'd be hard to get to that one. But I think that we really need to get some type of backup power for in case we do get it, and it's coming. I'll guarantee you, we're gonna get it one day. And we sure ain't prepared, and I don't think nobody's prepared. For what? Irwin gone. Asheville. Because they said they got anywhere from 20 to 29 inches of rain. And nobody can stand that in these mountains. I do see it in hurricanes in Texas. And you really
can't believe flat ground can flood, but it can.
Do we have a listing of the emergency shelters that's available on our website?
I will get you our emergency operations plan and make sure everybody has another copy of that.
I think it would be good if the public was aware of the shelters that were available. And I didn't realize all you need to do is call Mr. Bricky to open up Nicholsville. That should have done. That should have happened. We shouldn't be still. We've got a problem. And that hasn't been addressed. And it should have been addressed several days ago.
And if we could set up a plan that would be in place, so like with us, we couldn't get out to find out whether or not they were there, but you said you can have a plan in place where if it happens, you know, you can go here, there's no bill in the budget about it.
Exactly.
It would be something that there would be no question, okay, I need to, you know, my house is flooding, I need to go somewhere. Well, you can't make a call saying, okay, this will open, this will open, this will open. We can't call Mr. Brickley, we can't call any of our representatives, you know. So we need something hard, concrete, that there's no guessing.
Any of your fire department or EMS agencies are going to know what's open and what's available. And those are in each community.
I do know that Weber City Volunteer Fire Department is working on a shelter in place at their site. I did get to tour it on the 24th. They've got the bathrooms set up. I mean, you know, they've still got, you know, a little bit to go, but I do know that that's going to be a site that we can use later on.
There is an emergency response plan that the county has, and most emergencies are evolving situations that you assess the situation as you go, open up resources as they're needed. If there's a need known in Nicholsville for people that need shelter, somewhere to stay, that could be addressed by talking to Mr. Bricky, but most of the roads around Nicholsville are open, so that they could come to a shelter centrally located where the cots are and the resources are. You know, if you had a situation where an event happened just in Nicholsville or a flood happened in Dungannon, it may make sense to open up Dungannon School for people to come and stay, or Nicholsville for people to come stay. But, you know, you can't open up every available resource that you have immediately. Because it takes time. I mean, I couldn't get here for days, and a lot of the staff couldn't get here for days. And they opened up the shelter here pretty quickly. And like Ms. Starn said, Mr. Bricky and Lana at DSS stayed till 6 o'clock, and no one came, but a lot of people couldn't get out. So as those situations evolve, if there's a need for somebody to shelter somewhere, that's out there now that we know of, we can make that available.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just making that known, making that need known, for one, and making where the shelter is known. I've seen it on Facebook and heard about it through the community, but you know, not everybody has those options during these times.
See, I'm like you, I didn't know nothing about it. My landline was dead. My cell phone wasn't working. So, you know, I wouldn't even know it myself, you know. And a lot of the people in the area, in the county, where we're rural areas, we've never really told it, never probably needed it very much, except maybe a few snows for a time or two, but we do need to start letting that more known for the older people and people that's got small children. Of course, I mean, it could have come with snow and we could have been about to fire. A lot of older people would have probably froze to death because they sure couldn't have got out. And like I said, they some roads, we all seen pictures. Some areas we got hit real hard, and some areas just didn't seem like got hit at all. I mean, like I said, Alley Valley, midway through there, all of that, it really took a blunt.
letting people know about preparedness and being ready, having water, stockpile your water. We all knew a hurricane was coming. People in Asheville didn't know it was going to hit that hard. In that kind of situation, it really doesn't matter what you do. But telling people, we got a blizzard predicted, possible, or a hurricane's coming. Stock up on water, stock up on food, make sure you have your medicine, make sure you have some redundant heat or some battery backup stuff, flashlights, whatever, is something that as a board of supervisors you could really ramp up and do a campaign on. And that would take care of a lot of people. Most people don't want to leave their house. They want to stay there and fill their commode with a bucket and wait it out. If the board wants to do something for emergency management, that campaign would be a worthwhile endeavor.
It's probably needed at this point. I mean, I don't think we've ever had a storm like this roll through. Not that I can remember, but I'm young. So,
Remember 77, you probably don't remember.
The blizzard in '93 too.
The flood that washed everything away in 77. People was asking me, I would say, I was checking the river, on Clinch River, and I would say that it raised more than 8 to 9 feet where I live.
Any more discussion? We'll move on to number 9 on the agenda, County Attorney's Report.
You all have my report. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll just let you know we'll have 2 public hearings in November on ordinances, the procurement ordinance and the personal property tax exemption for disabled veterans. We'll update the language of both of those.
I just want to thank you for going to court for us. Handling that.
Yes.
Appreciate it. County Administrator's Report, do you have one?
That's all.
Okay. County Administrator's Report, Amy's not here, there's no bookkeeping, and Tina, there are no appointments, correct? Okay. We'll move on to Ms. Starnes.
Under claims in your packet, in the green sheet, the available cash in the general fund is $4,903,913. We are pretty well in line where we were at this time last year, not much change. As far as claims, early sets for the month totaled $619,999.97, and total claims for the month $986,619.83. You have the list of those claims that are over $5,000 if you want to look through those and see if you have any questions.
Any questions on the claims? Motion to pay the bills? Mr. Jeter made a motion to pay the bills. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Under miscellaneous, I do have a couple things I want to mention. Your economic development training is next Wednesday, October 9th at 6 o'clock. Please RSVP to Penny and let her know that you're going to be there. I highly recommend that you each attend this. It's a joint meeting with, not a meeting, but training with Lee County's Board of Supervisors and their economic development team as well. So next Wednesday, October 9th at 6 o'clock at the Daniel Boone Interpretive Center. And also wanted to mention the appreciation for the EMS and fire departments, our Public Works Department, Randall and Anthony. They ensured that our communication towers were operational all weekend by keeping those fueled. All the forestry crews that help cut the roads to those towers, to make sure that we did have emergency service communication with fire, EMS, and the sheriff's office. They worked tirelessly to make sure that that was still operational. I know behind the scenes you don't get a lot of thank yous, so I just wanted to say that for the record, that how much we appreciate those staff that was heavily involved over the weekend.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
And if you're in the community and you do have damage to your house or property from the storm, be sure to reach out to Scott if it's agriculture, or reach out to our building official, David Gilmer, if it is your house or property, because we are collecting all those for the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. And it's important that we have those assessments done because of the state and federal declaration in case there is funding that comes down for our communities. We want to make sure that everybody has that documented. That's all I have.
Okay. We'll move on down to Board of Supervisors comments, requests, or recommendations. Anyone have any comments?
I did have a few comments. I mentioned last time that the horse park are looking to expand their camping area. Jeff Flannery with the horse park did attend the EDA meeting and the board meeting, and made a presentation, and they're still discussing some different options with Cup Creek property. So that's looking good. He did tell me that all their property at the horse park is now paid for. And they've made, over the life of the park, they've made $75,000 of upgrades, and they're doing other additional upgrades. On the VDOT report, I had 5, this is September, 5 stale work orders, and they were corrected. Like I was telling Mr. Sumter, this is not going to be a priority for me in October. When people call me, I'm going to let them know that we're in the state of emergency, and minor things can be put off a little bit. Orange bag reports, nothing reported on that. The Antioch signage at the convenience site, they're still planning on doing that. It'll probably be in the next couple of months. I did get a call from someone at the animal shelter about generators for that area at the Scott County Animal Shelter. And that's all I had.
Any other comments?
I just want to say thank you to everybody in the community who has been a good neighbor through all this. And I think we've all seen that people have really stepped up and filled in the needs where people have had issues. I've seen kids from Rock Oak High School delivering meals out in the community. I've seen people open up their houses for folks, saying, hey, you can come here and have a shower. I've seen people just being good neighbors, and I want to thank everybody and to say that it's appreciated. That's what we need in this county. It's a strong sense of community, and I know we do. I know we have that, but it's just awesome to see it at work. Really.
I want to take time to thank John Kilgore and Roger Frazier. I guess you saw in the paper this week, BIP out at Duffield is going to invest another $5 million into their company, and that will bring in 50 new jobs. So thanks to BIP and John Kilgore and Roger Frazier and EDA for that. We need to go into executive session. If you don't have any more comments, okay.
I've got a comment.
Okay.
Did everybody on the board get the letter from the Virginia Loggers Association?
I did.
About the taxes? I just wondered if everybody got it.
Michelle, do you have something?
I just wanted to say thank you to our fire and rescue departments, because Friday, I don't know, a lot of people know, but my family, it's like a war zone down in Yuma, and they had some trees to fall on their house, and they were inside of it. And by the time my daughter got down there, the trees just kept falling, and one fell on top of the house with my son-in-law and my grandson inside the house asleep. And she got there. I was on the phone with her at the time, driving, trying to hurry up and get down there. And she got there, and I could hear the neighbor talking to her. And as the time that they were talking, a tree fell over top of them. And then by the time she got to the house, all I could hear her going was my baby and screaming bloody murder. And all I could think of was my grandbaby. And luckily, praise the Lord, that my family is okay. Their home, is damaged. But things like that can be, replaced, but your family can't be replaced. But I want to reach out and say thank you to Jeff Thacker and the fire department for coming down. I know that they had, a situation down in Briarcliff with Aaron McCoy's daddy. And I want to say thank you to them for coming out and checking on them and making sure that my family was out of that house. And, but everything that the fire department and the rescue has done, thank you so much. It takes a village, and we definitely have that here in Scott County. We really, really do. And everybody opening their homes up, giving showers and making food and handing it out at Weber City Fire Department yesterday. I seen them, they had a tent up and they were handing out food. Today, Terry Kilgore's gonna be handing out pizza. So, if you're hungry and you want something warm, go up there at 11:30, he's gonna start handing out pizza to people. And but just thank you to everyone who has reached out to us, and it's been rough. It really, really has for everybody in this community and outside our community and stuff. But I just want everybody to know that you're in my prayers. Daily and nightly, you're definitely in my prayers. But thank you to everyone who stepped up to the plate and has helped out.
Thank you, Michelle. Anyone else?
Oh, there's one more thing. I will say, I had a telephone call last night. One of our firefighters of Weber City Fire Department, he went out Friday and was helping out. He took his own personal vehicle and went to a site to help cut out a tree. And while he was there, working and cutting up a tree fell on top of his vehicle and smashed his vehicle. So, Daryl also got the phone call about it too. They were asking if there was anything that we could do for him, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I was gonna talk to Sally about it after the meeting.
But I do know he does have insurance. So I was told that he did have insurance on the vehicle and stuff, but right now he doesn't have a vehicle.
Sally, Darryl can talk about that. Anyone else? We do need to go into executive session. We have one item to go into closed session, and that is real estate in Gate City. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Darryl made the motion, and Ms. Glover second. All in favor say aye. On a motion by Mr. Darrell Jeter, duly second by Ms. Michelle Glover, this board hereby enters into closed section pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711. We will take a break at this time and